Ladies and gentlemen, strength beyond physicality. You see, we talk a lot about strength. We see it in the gym. We see it in competition. We see it in the warriors of the world. But let me tell you something about strength. Real strength is not just in the muscles, it's in the spirit. It's in the ability to hold on, even when the world is trying to knock you down. A woman's strength is more than physical. It's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual. And in many ways, it's invisible. It's in the quiet moments when she chooses to keep moving when no one is watching. That's the kind of strength I'm talking about. Societal expectations. Now, society. Society loves to talk about what women can't do, what they shouldn't do. But here's the truth: society has placed these expectations on women that are heavy, unbelievably heavy. We've told them they have to be everything, do everything. They have to be the perfect mother, the perfect worker, the perfect friend, the perfect partner, all while juggling their own dreams and desires. You ever see a man try to do all of that? No, women do it. And they do it with grace, with resilience, and with power that cannot be measured by any scale. Endurance through suffering. Now, let me talk about pain. We all know about pain, right? We've all been hurt. But a woman can endure pain like no one else. I'm talking about physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain. They carry it all, sometimes silently, sometimes with a strength that doesn't make sense to those who don't understand. They go through things that would break the average man. But a woman, she doesn't quit. She keeps moving forward. Why? Because that's what they do. They endure, they survive, and they come out stronger on the other side. Empathy and sacrifice. We also need to talk about empathy. You ever seen a man put someone else's needs before their own without hesitation? Maybe. But with a woman, it's second nature. It's almost automatic. Women have this ability to love deeply, to sacrifice for those they care about, to put themselves last in order to lift someone else up. It's not weakness, it's strength. And it's the kind of strength that can't be measured by any standard we've ever set. Breaking barriers and overcoming obstacles. But here's the thing. No matter how much adversity a woman faces, she always rises. No matter how many barriers they put up, no matter how many doors get slammed in her face, she keeps going. She doesn't let the system break her down. She breaks the system down. From the boardroom to the battlefield, women are leading the charge. And the reason they do it? Because they can. They can endure. They can overcome. And they can achieve things that were never meant for them to achieve. And when they do, the world is better for it. Now I want to talk about this in detail. When we talk about strength, the first thing that often comes to mind is the image of a strong, muscular person lifting weights, competing in sports, or engaging in some physical activity. We equate strength with what we can see, what can be measured, and what can be physically tested. But let me tell you something that's often overlooked. Real strength goes beyond what's visible on the outside. It's not about the size of your muscles or the number of pounds you can lift. The real strength that we need to recognize is the strength of the spirit, the heart, and the mind. And when it comes to this type of strength, women exhibit it in ways that we can't always comprehend or see on the surface. Think about the quiet strength that a woman demonstrates when she faces a challenge. It's not the loudest thing in the room, but it's the most enduring. A woman can carry the weight of the world on her shoulders, and you may never even know it. It's not because she's hiding her struggles or pretending to be strong, but because her strength doesn't always need to be seen. There's a certain quiet dignity in how she handles hardship, whether it's personal, emotional, or professional. It's in the way she balances her responsibilities, manages her emotions, and takes care of the needs of others without faltering. Let's not forget the strength that lies in resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back after a setback. And women, throughout history, have demonstrated incredible resilience in the face of adversity. They've had to fight for their rights, fight for their voices to be heard, and often fight for the most basic recognition of their worth. And yet, time and time again, they rise. We've seen women endure the toughest of circumstances, poverty, abuse, discrimination, and still they find a way to move forward. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. It's the type of strength that doesn't show in the form of a trophy or a victory speech, but in the way a woman gets up every day, no matter how hard the journey is. A woman's strength is also emotional. Emotional strength means being able to navigate the complexities of human feelings and relationships. In a world where emotions are often seen as weaknesses, a woman's ability to express, manage, and channel her emotions is a form of strength that too often goes unnoticed. Think about the emotional labor that women do in their families, in their workplaces, and in their communities. They are the ones who offer support, understanding, and compassion. They may not always get the credit for it, but they are the backbone of emotional stability in many environments. Furthermore, this strength extends to mental endurance. Women often face significant mental and emotional stress that stems not just from personal challenges, but from societal pressures as well. They are expected to be perfect, to handle everything with grace, and to never show weakness. Despite this, they endure. They fight against the mental exhaustion that comes from juggling multiple roles, sometimes in silence, sometimes with a smile. It's the mental fortitude to keep going, to push through the difficult moments, to maintain hope even when things seem impossible. The true strength of a woman lies not in physical might, but in the combination of her mental, emotional, and spiritual power. It's in her ability to handle life's challenges with grace, resilience, and determination. And when you see that strength, whether in your mother, your sister, your wife, or your friend, don't just admire it from a distance. Recognize it for what it truly is, a form of strength that is beyond physicality and one that deserves to be celebrated. Let's take a moment to reflect on the expectations that society places on women. Now, we all know that societal pressures are no stranger to anyone, but there's something unique about the weight that women carry. From the very beginning of their lives, they are handed a script, one that's been written for them by societal norms, cultural beliefs, and centuries of tradition. And let me tell you, it's not an easy script to follow. Women are often expected to be everything to everyone. From the moment they step into the world, they are expected to be the perfect daughter, the perfect sister, the perfect mother, the perfect wife, the perfect friend, the perfect worker. There's this constant demand to live up to some ideal, a standard that seems to shift but never really disappears. They're supposed to juggle all of these roles flawlessly, maintaining their appearance, their professional achievements, their personal relationships, and their well-being, all while smiling, all while appearing to have it all together. But here's the thing, this ideal is not just unrealistic, it's unfair. Because the truth is, no one can be perfect in every aspect of their life. No one can carry all of these expectations without feeling the weight. Yet, women are often expected to do so. They are expected to excel in the workplace while being the perfect caregiver at home. They are expected to stay calm and composed in the face of adversity, even when the world around them is falling apart. There is this belief that women should handle everything with grace, that they should shoulder the burdens of others without complaint, without faltering. And what happens when they don't meet these expectations? Well, society is quick to judge. If a woman doesn't conform to the standards placed upon her, if she doesn't manage to do it all, she's often labeled as weak, selfish, or incapable. The judgment is harsh and unfair, as if she is somehow less than what she could be, when in reality she's simply trying to survive in a world that asks too much. This pressure isn't just about the roles women are expected to play, it also relates to how they are supposed to look, act, and behave. From a young age, women are taught that their appearance matters more than their abilities. They are bombarded with images of beauty that are often unattainable, forced to meet an ever-shifting standard of what's considered attractive, fashionable, and desirable. The pressure to be thin, flawless, and always on is exhausting. It's as if women are constantly being judged not for their minds or their talents, but for how they look, for how well they fit into this mold that was created for them. But it's not just the physical standards that women are held to. There's also the emotional labor that is expected from them. Women are often expected to be the emotional caregivers, the ones who listen, comfort, and nurture others. While this is a beautiful quality, it is also a huge responsibility. The emotional weight of always being the strong one or the supportive one can be draining. There is no rest, no time to process their own emotions, because they are constantly asked to manage and care for the emotions of others. The truth is, these societal expectations don't leave room for women to simply be themselves. They don't give them the space to fail, to struggle, or to pursue their own passions without guilt. They're told that they have to do it all and do it all perfectly. But the reality is, no one can. It's a constant balancing act, and no matter how strong, how capable, or how resilient a woman is, these expectations will always weigh heavily on her. But here's the other side of this. Despite all of this pressure, women continue to rise. They find ways to break through the expectations, to redefine what it means to be successful, to be beautiful, to be strong. They challenge the norms and create new paths for themselves. The world might tell them what they should be, but they have the strength to define who they are. So when you see a woman doing it all, when you see her managing 1,000 different roles, know that she's carrying a weight that many may never understand. And while society places unrealistic expectations on her, she still rises, still endures, and still fights. And in that, we find a strength that is incomparable. If there's one thing that stands out about women, it's their unparalleled ability to endure suffering. And I'm not just talking about physical pain, I'm talking about the mental and emotional anguish that women often face in their lives. The weight of this suffering can be overwhelming, but the remarkable thing is that women seem to find ways to carry it, to move forward, and to rise above it, often without showing it to the world. Let's start by acknowledging the different forms of suffering women face. It could be physical pain from childbirth, for example, or the constant toll that everyday stress can take on the body. Yet, despite this, women somehow manage to keep going. Childbirth itself is one of the most excruciating experiences a person can endure, but women do it over and over again. They endure the physical toll of raising children, of taking on multiple roles that stretch their bodies and minds in ways that men rarely experience. They often go through life with chronic pain, whether due to health conditions, surgeries, or just the wear and tear of life, and they keep going. They don't give up. They don't quit because of the pain. They persevere, even when their bodies are telling them to stop. Then there's the emotional suffering. Women often bear the brunt of emotional pain, whether it's due to loss, betrayal, or heartbreak. They feel deeply, and that depth of feeling often means they experience pain in ways that can be difficult to understand. Whether it's the grief of losing a loved one, the emotional toll of raising children, or the trauma of abuse, women often carry their emotions with them in a way that seems endless. And yet, in spite of this pain, they continue. They continue to love, to give, to support, and to help others even when they themselves are suffering. But here's the kicker: even in the face of overwhelming emotional pain, women often wear a mask. They are expected to hold it together for others, to remain strong and composed even when their hearts are breaking. Society tells them that they should be strong, that they should always be able to handle whatever comes their way. And while this is a burden in itself, women often take it in stride. They suppress their own emotions and put on a brave face, not because they don't feel the weight of their suffering, but because they have learned to endure it silently. This type of emotional endurance is often invisible to the outside world, but it is no less powerful than any physical display of strength. There's also the mental suffering that many women endure. They are often expected to balance multiple roles: career, family, social obligations, without showing any signs of stress. The pressure to excel in every aspect of life can lead to burnout, anxiety, and a constant battle with mental exhaustion. But women, through sheer will, continue to push forward. They take care of the needs of others while neglecting their own, constantly putting themselves last, and yet they endure. They don't always get the recognition for their mental resilience, but it's there. It's in the way they handle adversity, in the way they juggle their responsibilities without complaint, in the way they continue to show up for others when they themselves feel drained. Then there's the suffering women face due to societal expectations, the pressure to conform, to fit into molds that were never meant for them. Whether it's the expectation to be a perfect mother, a perfect partner, or to always look a certain way, these external pressures add another layer of suffering to their lives. Yet, in the face of these unrealistic standards, women keep going. They continue to break barriers, to challenge the status quo, and to redefine what it means to be a woman in today's world. The ability to endure suffering, to bear pain, to keep moving forward despite the odds, that is one of the most remarkable qualities of women. It is the kind of strength that doesn't get enough recognition, but it is the kind of strength that changes the world. When a woman endures suffering, she doesn't just survive, she transforms. She becomes stronger, more resilient, and more capable of facing whatever comes her way. And in that endurance, she becomes an example for us all, an example of what true strength really looks like. So, when you look at a woman, don't just see her strength in terms of what she can physically do or how well she performs in her career. Recognize the suffering she's endured and the resilience she's built from it. Because when a woman endures suffering, she doesn't just carry the weight of the world, she carries it with grace, with courage, and with an unbreakable spirit. And that's something we should all admire. One of the most profound qualities that women exhibit, often without fanfare or recognition, is their deep empathy and willingness to sacrifice. It's something that goes beyond simply being kind or compassionate. It's a strength rooted in selflessness, in the ability to understand and connect with the struggles of others, and in the capacity to put someone else's needs above your own. This empathetic strength is not just a virtue, it is a fundamental part of what makes women so resilient in the face of adversity. At its core, empathy is the ability to feel what someone else is feeling, to walk in their shoes, and to respond in a way that acknowledges and validates their emotions. For women, this comes naturally. From a young age, many girls are taught to care for others, to nurture, and to be there for those around them. This doesn't mean that women are expected to be caretakers at the expense of their own needs, but rather that empathy is woven into the fabric of who they are. It shows up in the way they listen when someone needs to talk, in the way they support others through difficult times, and in the way they offer their love and compassion without expecting anything in return. Empathy is not just a soft, passive trait. It's a powerful force that enables women to face challenges that others might shy away from. Think about how many women put the emotional and physical well-being of their families before their own. Whether it's a mother staying up all night with a sick child, the sister comforting her sibling after a breakup, or a friend who drops everything to offer support during a tough time, women continuously demonstrate a level of empathy that transcends the ordinary. This empathy is not born from a sense of obligation or duty, it comes from a deep instinctive desire to help, to ease suffering, and to create emotional bonds that make others feel understood and cared for. However, empathy often comes with sacrifice, another hallmark of women's strength. Sacrifice is something that women practice daily, whether they realize it or not. Sacrifice isn't just about giving up material possessions or making grand gestures. It's often about the smaller, more personal acts of putting someone else's needs before your own. It's about giving your time, your energy, and sometimes even your own dreams in order to take care of those around you. A woman might sacrifice her personal ambitions to support her partner's career or to care for her children. She might put aside her own desires to make sure that her loved ones are happy and healthy. These sacrifices can be seen in the way women often put their families first, even if it means putting themselves last. And while this may seem like an act of selflessness, it's also a demonstration of immense strength, the strength to prioritize others, the strength to support, and the strength to love unconditionally. But this doesn't mean that women don't struggle with this selflessness. There is a silent weight that comes with constantly giving of oneself. The emotional and mental exhaustion of always being the one who sacrifices, of always being the one who gives, can take a toll. Yet, even in the face of this fatigue, women continue to give. They push through the exhaustion because they understand the value of their support, the importance of their care. They understand that the sacrifices they make have a ripple effect on the lives of those they care about, and often this is enough to keep them going. In many ways, women's empathy and sacrifice build communities, nurture families, and support friendships in ways that might be taken for granted. But without them, the fabric of society would be much weaker. It is this silent, often unseen strength that holds relationships together and creates the kind of bonds that are built on trust, care, and understanding. It's also important to recognize that empathy and sacrifice don't always come without a cost. Sometimes women give so much that they lose a piece of themselves in the process. Yet despite this, they continue. They continue because they understand that their emotional labor, their sacrifices, and their empathy are not just actions, they are acts of love, and they know that love is worth the effort. So when you witness a woman giving of herself, whether it's in the form of empathy or sacrifice, take a moment to recognize the strength it takes to do so. It is not easy, it is not simple, but it is a testament to the resilience and depth of character that women possess. And this strength, the ability to care, to sacrifice, and to put others first, is something that should be honored and celebrated. One of the most incredible things about women is their ability to break barriers and overcome obstacles that stand in their way. Throughout history, women have faced systemic challenges, social restrictions, and even physical limitations that have sought to keep them in specific roles, but despite all of this, women continue to rise above it. They challenge the status quo, redefine what is possible, and create paths where none seem to exist. Their ability to overcome adversity and push forward in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds is a testament to their resilience and strength. Let's talk about those barriers for a moment. From the very beginning, women have been told what they can and cannot do. They've been told that their place is in the home, not in the workplace. They've been told that they are too weak, too emotional, or too incapable to hold positions of power, to lead nations, to innovate, or to make lasting change in the world. And yet, despite these messages, women have proven time and time again that their potential is limitless. One of the most profound ways women break barriers is by entering spaces that were never meant for them. Think about the trailblazing women who fought to enter male-dominated industries, whether it was engineering, politics, or business. These women didn't just settle for what they were given, they fought for the opportunity to compete on equal footing. Take women like Marie Curie, who defied all expectations to become the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, or Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who spent her life fighting for women's rights and gender equality through the U.S. legal system. These women and countless others didn't just overcome barriers, they dismantled them piece by piece to create new pathways for the women who followed. In many cases, women don't just face external barriers, they also deal with internal struggles, doubts, and fears. The expectations placed upon them by society can create a sense of limitation, but many women refuse to accept this. They look inward, they confront those fears, and they push through their own insecurities. They don't let self-doubt keep them from achieving their goals. This inner strength is often the unseen force behind their success. It's the quiet voice that says, "You can do this," even when the world around them says otherwise. Another aspect of women's ability to overcome obstacles lies in their adaptability. Life throws all sorts of challenges at them, whether it's an economic downturn, personal loss, or unexpected setbacks. Yet women have this remarkable ability to adapt, to find a way to make it work, even when the odds are stacked against them. They have a unique capacity to bounce back from failure, to learn from mistakes, and to keep moving forward, even when the path isn't clear. It's this resilience and resourcefulness that makes women so powerful in the face of adversity. Take, for example, the challenges women face in the workplace. Despite the progress made in gender equality, women still often face wage gaps, underrepresentation in leadership roles, and systemic discrimination. Yet, time and time again, women overcome these obstacles. They fight for equal pay, demand representation, and work to change the structures that have kept them out of positions of power. And they do it with grace and determination. It's not easy, but women continue to push forward, knowing that every step they take makes it easier for the next generation of women to succeed. The obstacles women face are not only external, they often come from the very people who are supposed to support them. In many societies, women have been made to feel that their ambitions are too much, their dreams are too big, or their voices are too loud. They have been told to stay in their place, to be smaller, quieter, and less assertive. But here's the thing: women refuse to be silenced. They refuse to shrink themselves to fit into someone else's idea of what they should be. Whether it's in the workplace, in their communities, or in their personal lives, women are rejecting the limitations placed on them and claiming their right to be seen and heard. Perhaps the most inspiring aspect of women breaking barriers is the way they do it for the greater good. Women often break down obstacles not just for themselves, but for their families, their communities, and society at large. The work of women in education, healthcare, science, and activism has been transformative. Their ability to push past the barriers that exist for them creates a ripple effect that impacts everyone. When a woman rises, she lifts others with her, creating opportunities and making the world a better place for all. Women's ability to break barriers and overcome obstacles is not just about individual success, it's about collective progress. Every time a woman defies the odds, she paves the way for others to do the same. And this ongoing cycle of breaking down barriers, overcoming obstacles, and creating new possibilities is one of the most powerful forces in the world. Women may face challenges, but they will never be defeated by them. They will rise, they will lead, and they will continue to prove that there is no obstacle too big for them to overcome. The strength of a woman is not something that can be easily measured or defined by conventional standards. It is a force that transcends the visible and the expected, encompassing resilience, empathy, endurance, and an unyielding drive to break barriers. What a woman can endure, a man may never fully grasp, because her strength is not only built on what is seen in the physical world, but on the deep emotional, mental, and spiritual realms that too often go unnoticed. From the quiet power of resilience in the face of hardship, to the sacrifice and empathy she offers without asking for recognition, a woman's strength lies in her ability to navigate the complexities of life with grace, compassion, and determination. She bears societal pressures with poise and finds the inner resolve to keep moving forward even when the weight seems unbearable. Her capacity for empathy allows her to connect deeply with others, and her willingness to sacrifice for the greater good reflects the depth of her selflessness. Furthermore, women are not content with simply enduring. They rise above the limitations placed upon them by society. They break barriers, challenge conventions, and redefine what is possible, constantly pushing forward with the knowledge that their efforts pave the way for future generations. It is this combination of endurance, empathy, sacrifice, and relentless pursuit of equality that makes a woman's strength so extraordinary. In a world that often seeks to undermine or limit the power of women, we must recognize that the true measure of strength lies not in physical might or status, but in the unwavering spirit that refuses to be broken, the resilience that refuses to bow, and the compassion that knows no bounds. The challenges women face are immense, but the power they possess is limitless. And in honoring and celebrating that strength, we unlock the potential to create a world that recognizes the true worth of every woman, not just for what she can endure, but for what she has the capacity to achieve.